Yeah. Right then, I think it is about time that we do a 1-year review on the ultimate SIB setup. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So this is my SIB and has been my SIB since 2023 in January. So we have had it about a year and what, say 5 months or so. And we have been testing it out, having a good bit of fun on it, doing a bit of fishing. And yeah, it has been a very, very nice experience. So yeah, this is the Hydrus H5 model. I believe it came out in 2022 and I bought it at the start of 2023. There is now the H6 model, which is out, and then the H7 as well. So yeah, there are some updates to this and some improvements. We'll go over that some part in the video. But for now, we'll show you around and tell you the good bits, the bad bits, and I give you a bit of a look at what the boat looks like. So I did make a video when I first bought the boat and set it up about the 5 things I liked, I disliked, and the things I loved. Unfortunately, I didn't think that the video was good enough to upload to the channel, so I didn't do that. So we're going to do a little bit of that in this video, as I said, and give you a general walk around on what I recommend you should be using and potentially buying if you are looking to get into the SIB game. So I've owned a SIB since about, well, it's been about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years now. And the first one that I had, I'll put on the screen now. So it was a 3.3 metre Fish branded SIB with a Johnson 8 horsepower engine. And then later on, I upgraded to a 9.8 electric start Tohatsu engine. I drove all the way from where I live near Southampton, all the way down to Cornwall to go pick that engine up. I bought it as it was a pretty good deal and it was on eBay. So I messaged the guy and sort of took the deal down a little bit because it cut out on his fees basically with eBay. And I bought that as I wanted a reliable, newer engine, and I wanted the 4-stroke engine as the 2-stroke is very, very fuel heavy on the consumption of the fuel. So yeah, I now, after having the 3.3, decided that I wanted something bigger. I wanted the extra width of the boat. This one is 10 centimetres wider, and then it is 40 centimetres longer. Obviously, you'll lose a bit of that width in the shape of the sponsons and stuff like that, as these are a little bit thicker. But overall, I've got a lot more space and it is a lot more comfortable in this one. As well, I've upgraded to a Tohatsu 15 horsepower 4-stroke engine. That is a 2023 model and I bought it brand new from the dealership. That was also a really, really good deal, and I traded it in the 9.8 Tohatsu, and I basically got the exact same amount of money for what I bought it for and the trade-in value. So yeah, that made it a no-brainer to buy that one. So why am I calling this the ultimate fishing setup? So this is a non-sponsored, non-affiliated video, but the guy that makes these inflatable boat fishing, Carlo, he has put an awful lot of effort into making these the ideal SIB for a fisherman. So yeah, you've got various different things on here. You've got the RAILBLAZA ports, you've got the cleat at the front, you've got oar holders inside, you've got handles inside, handles on the outside. You've got the reinforced bow handle at the front, which we had to put on ourselves because I accidentally tore one off. And yeah, you've got some of these cool things inside. I'll bring you over here and we'll show you what's inside. So inside the boat, you've got these here, these bits here, these are trademarked, and that allows you to have either an air deck or an aluminium deck in the boat. Now I've chosen to have the aluminium deck in here, and we'll go over this later on, but I do have the air deck as it comes with the air deck, and then the aluminium deck is optional. Yeah, it's got an inflatable keel, as you can see down here, so that helps with your shape of the boat in the water to make sure it goes over the waves and water nicely. On the back, you may have seen in a different video, we have got the SeaMax marine wheels. These are amazing wheels, very, very good, very sturdy. And if you are looking into getting a SIB, I definitely recommend looking at that video and buying these ones. Look at the size of the bracket and how nicely it is made. Here as well is a Tohatsu 15 that I was talking about. So yeah, 2023 model. It is a beautiful engine, runs really smoothly, really nicely. Easy to start, even though it is an EFI, batteryless EFI. So you've got to give it a couple of pulls to charge the battery, charge the ECU up, and well, obviously no battery, charge the ECU up and get it started. But it runs lovely. It is really, really good on the fuel consumption, which is not to be said about 2-strokes, but the smell of a 2-stroke is absolutely amazing. So I think on the brand new H7 models of these, the RAILBLAZA ports come as standard, as whereas before you had to pay the optional extra if you wanted them. On this one, it came with 4 standard. I added the extra 2 on the back, which is another video on the channel as well. So if you are interested in putting some RAILBLAZA ports on your boat, then do check that video out. So yeah, my setup for the SIB, I've got 2 rod holders, as you can see. There's one in the corner over there and one over there because I was fishing with someone else on the boat. But normally I have 1 on each side, and then at the back in the evening I have 2 lights over there which shine on the rods and make it easy to see. We've also got a bit of a novelty item over there. We've got a cup holder. That's pretty cool, so in the winter I can have a nice cup of tea on the go. But yeah, this makes it good for recording, stuff like that. I can put my GoPro in here, my phone in there, and then it's good to have the rod holders in there. Down the front we've got the bow cleat here, and you've got the roller for the anchor. Now this has been upgraded as well, I think, since the last model, as it is a bit stiff and it only starts to roll once the anchor is basically halfway up the water towards your boat. But that does make it easier. As I said, we've got a reinforced bow handle that we installed on here. That is still on there, still strong, so that's happy days. So as I said, there have been a few things that I didn't like about the boat when I first bought it. One of the things that was a problem for me was this here. There used to be some grab handles like you've got at the back over here. Hopefully you can see. So yeah, at the back here, there was the same grab handle here. I had to remove them on both sides as that was blocking the oars, so you couldn't row properly. So if I ever ran into engine problems, basically it would have been impossible to row home with those in the way, so they had to come off. Also, the old wheels that came with the boat, you had to buy them separately, but it was on the same site. I'm not sure if they've been improved or not, but the brackets on those were absolutely awful, and I mentioned it to the guy, and unfortunately I didn't get anything sorted out, which is why I bought these ones. But yeah, that's fair enough, but they were not the best of wheels, so that's why I recommend those ones. Other problems that I have had is, obviously with the front cleat on here, but that has been reinforced now for all the other models, so that is happy days. There's various design changes, which I'll go over in a minute. So in the video I made about the 5 things I like, dislike, and would improve, I did show Carlo that video, and it seems that some of that stuff has improved in some of the newer models. So on the newer models, you have got some D-rings inside to hold your gear. You've got the upgraded handle at the front, as I said. You've also, in the new H7 model, you've got a 5cm raise in the bow, and that helps with stuffing the bow, as it's called, when you go into a wave and sort of slams down, water goes everywhere, so that helps with that. Also, compared to this model, we've got a ruler that goes along the side down here, which is a pretty cool feature. And then there are various design changes throughout here, different sort of stripes and dots sort of patterns. And then there is a reinforced transom on the newer models as well. If you are thinking of getting a SIB, there's a couple of things to look out for and think about. One of the main things is how you're going to transport it, how you're going to package it away, and where you're going to store it, sort of thing. I've got it on a extreme bunked trailer, which makes it easy for me to store it. Well, it's not easy to store, but I've got space to store it. But it makes it easier to transport and makes it easier to use without having to set it up and pack it down every single session. But these inflatable boats, when you start getting to the 3.7 meters and higher, they get really difficult to move around when you've got all your gear in it. I think the boat on its own is about 60 kilo, and I measured the weight of the aluminium and air deck. The aluminium deck is about 24.5 kilos, and then the air deck is about 11.5 kilos. So just in terms of changing the deck, you're looking at 13 kilos heavier with the aluminium deck, but that does come with some better comfort, some better performance, and better stability on the boat, which is why I have chose to keep it in. In terms of engines, when you look at the Mariners, the Mercuries and the Tohatsus, I believe they are all the same engine underneath, and they're all made in Japan by Tohatsu, I believe. So yeah, these are a very reliable engine. They're pretty affordable, and they come in multiple different horsepower levels. So obviously the minimum sort of size you want for this boat, I'd say, is a 9.8. With a 6 horsepower, you'd struggle to move around. Maximum, I believe, on this is a 20 horsepower. Potentially for the bigger models, I think it's 25 horsepower, but that could be for a 2-stroke model. Again, with the weight, the engine weighs 43 kilos, so with the boat being about 60 or 70 kilos, that makes the entire weight of the boat on its own about 110 kilos, including the wheels. So those wheels are rated up to 600 pounds, which I believe, I'll put the conversion on the screen, as 250 kilo, if I remember correctly. And then with all your gear in and fuel, that's going to add an extra 20 or 30 kilos, so you're looking at about 150 kilo. So when I weigh 80 kilo, it makes moving around 150, 60 kilos quite difficult. Obviously, one of the top tips for sib fishing and setting up your gear is to move everything to the back, as it causes the force of the front to be easier, and it's to do with fulcrums basically, if you know your physics. But if you put everything to the back where the wheels are, then it will be lighter at the front and easier to move. In the near future, I am thinking about getting an ECU upgrade for the engine, which makes it the 20 horsepower. At the time, I didn't want to put the extra 300, 400, 500 quid into getting a 20 horsepower engine, so that's why I went for the 15. But yeah, with a simple ECU change, you can bump these up to a 20 horsepower, and what that means is you'll get better fuel economy, and I don't think it will overly make your max speed any higher, but it just means that you'll get to your max speed without having to go all the way up to half throttle, instead it'll be about third throttle with a 20 horsepower, which is always good for the fuel economy. So in terms of my 1 year ownership and review of the boat and engine and all the setup stuff like that, I'd definitely say if you're thinking about doing it, then I would get one. One thing that I would say is if you're thinking of getting the smaller or the bigger model, I'll potentially be looking towards the bigger one, as human beings, we always just want that little bit more. So yeah, that is a pretty good thing to think about. But yeah, in terms of the boat setup, the engine, everything like that, I do really enjoy it and love using it. I don't think I'm going to be getting a proper boat for a while, as I will be using this. And it is pretty good for taking out your friends and stuff like that. Obviously, you may know South Coast Angler, my good chum. He's got a 3 metre boat with a 6 horsepower. And he sometimes goes out on that. He sometimes comes in mine. But I always love doing laps around him with the bigger boat and bigger engine. It's good fun. But yeah, we're not here to bully South Coast Angler. We like Dangler. But yeah, the 1 year review, it's been a year and a half. I've been a Tohatsu owner for about 2 years, I guess. And I can firmly say that the engines are beautiful. They're reliable. They are quite heavy at 43 kilograms. So having it on the back of the boat at all times, the transom saver, makes my life a whole lot easier. The boat in general, I haven't had any problems really, other than what I've said. It hasn't got any leaks, anything like that. You just got to be careful. Hooks will puncture it if you're not careful. The air deck is pretty prone to bass spikes, but that actually is another thing that has been upgraded. It's a bit thicker for that exact purpose. But I did have a mat over my air deck when I had it in. A lovely job. So would I recommend it? Of course I would recommend it. If you're thinking about it, go ahead and buy yourself a sib. It is a great way to get onto the sea and get out on that different bits of water, deeper water potentially. Maybe even go over reefs, fishing for bass, stuff like that. I've been round the back of the Isle of Wight on this. I've been to the Nab Tower, which is about a 10 nautical mile trip out to sea. These are incredibly stable and capable crafts. People don't think they are capable, but I definitely prefer being in this as opposed to a small or even a bigger boat. These tend to go up and down on the waves, whereas normal boats sway left and right. So yeah, they are very, very good at that. That's one of the reasons why the RNLI use boats like ribs and sibs to do their rescues, as they are very capable crafts. So I guess this is it. That's the end of the video. If you do have any questions about this boat or potentially other boats, questions about the engine, questions about the wheels, anything to do with sib fishing, do comment in the description below and I'll do my best to try and help you out. But yeah, I do love this boat. It is pretty cool. I'm not going to upgrade it, I don't think, at least for a long old while, until potentially I have a problem, as I have put a lot of extra money into it. I'll put the extra wheels on there, I'll put the extra ports on there, and I'll put that on there. There are potentially some future upgrades that I'm going to do to it. Maybe put some more ports on, maybe make it an even bigger YouTuber boat sort of thing, where I've got all my gear ready to go. I can have 2 GoPro cameras, stuff like that. It's all stuff to think about in the future. But yeah, great little boat. I love it. The engine's great. The wheels are great. It's happy days. So yeah, guys and girls, do hope you appreciate the video. If you enjoyed it, do hit that like button. Drop a comment if you enjoyed it or need any help. And sub to the channel if you're new and want to have content like this in your subscription box area. So yeah, happy days. Squeezing up. I'll see you guys in the next episode.